What's good, YouTube? It's your boy, Blue Blood Sports TV, back at y'all with another one. So, father, trainer, manager, and CEO of Devin Haney Promotions, Bill Haney. He's the father of undefeated WBC lightweight world champion superstar boxer Devin the Dream Haney. They have an ongoing saga with the longest reigning champion in the sport of boxing, WBC featherweight world champion Mr. Gary Russell Jr., superstar boxer, vet in the sport. They have been going back and forth negotiating. As recent as last Friday, you saw Mr. Gary Russell Jr. come out and say that he didn't like the terms in the contract, or should we say the term sheet, in which he felt and pointed out, highlighted that Dazn, the network that Devin Haney fights on, and the co-promotion team, Matchroom CEO and promoter Eddie Hearn, weren't on the contract. And so Mr. Gary Russell Jr. said that he couldn't agree to that. He didn't make any adjustments, but he said that was a red flag. He hadn't since he received the contract last Wednesday or Tuesday. Then on Friday is when he responded saying that, he highlighted the first line. He had his lawyers look at it in the first line. He saw that Dazn and Matchroom weren't on board. So at any given point, they could just do a bow face and say they're walking away from the fight and they didn't agree to the fight. He said their names weren't on the contract. That's the first thing he realized and recognized. Well, he hadn't sent over a counter offer, which is the most important thing. If you don't like the terms in the term sheet, you send over a counter offer and say, well, where is Matchroom? Where's Dazn on this term sheet? Because I can't agree to anything. It's not a contract. It's a term sheet, right? So he's not bound to anything, right? It's negotiation back and forth. It's a seesaw battle, right? Until you get it right, till you find a common medium, come to a understanding somewhere in the middle and agree to the fight. Well, Gary Russell said that he didn't like the wording in the first line of the contract. Well, Bill Haney has now released a photo of the term sheet that was sent to Gary Russell Jr., in which you could clearly see that Dazn and Matchroom, as well as the PBC, upon their approval, is on the contract. So one thing immediately jumped right out at me is it also, PBC had to agree upon it as well, in which Gary Russell is primarily a PBC Fox fighter, Fox Showtime, with his advisor, Al Heyman. And so it clearly shows and states that the PBC, Dazn, and Matchroom are all in the term sheet. All three of their names are on the term sheet. So it says upon agreeing to the fight verbally, then everybody will be on board. Meaning that Dazn is aware and they're fine with it. Matchroom was aware and they're fine with it. PBC was aware and they were fine with it. They just want both parties to agree before they sign off on it. But again, they were all involved in the term sheet. As you can see, at the top of the term sheet, in the very first paragraph, you can see clearly that the PBC, Dazn, and Matchroom are on the term sheet. So when Gary Russell stated that they weren't on the term sheet, I'm not completely understanding where he got that, where he missed that. Because if you look right here, and you could clearly see the PBC, Dazn, and Matchroom. You see they're all right there on the term sheet. If you can see it clearly. It says PBC right here, Dazn, and Matchroom. They're all on the term sheet. This is the term sheet. This is the Gary Russell. You can see the $1.5 million there. So I don't understand why Gary Russell said that they weren't on the term sheet, that they weren't on board. And he stated that, see, here's where the disconnect comes in. because he stated that the PBC was on board, but Dazn and Matchroom wasn't on board. But all three of their names are on this term sheet, and you could clearly see that upon agreeing to this terms, he gets $1.5 million, so on and so forth, in the term sheet that all parties will sign off on it, including the PBC, including Dazn, including Matchroom. So when he said that they weren't in the term sheet, well, that's completely false. You can see them in the term sheet, as well as the PBC. So if PBC was in the term sheet, and he stated in the first line, in the first paragraph, was the red flag, but the PBC is included in that. But if you're saying that the PBC was on board, right, then you, right next to their name is PBC, Dazn, and then Matchroom. So all parties, all networks, all promotional companies were on board. And like I stated, he had the contract for 48 hours at the least. He received it on Wednesday, responded to it, on Friday, but he didn't make a counter offer. And according to Bill Haney, according to Devin Haney, they have not heard or had any return, any dialogue with Gary Russell since. If you didn't like the wording in the contract, in the term sheet, you should have addressed it. But to say that Matchroom and Dazn weren't on board, and Dazn put out a video today in which they clearly stated that they are on board. Dazn said that they are on board. Matchroom said that they are on board. Eddie Hearn said that he is on board with this. So, like I said, I believe that Gary Russell has options. He realized he has options. He realized he could force his way into a fight with Devin Haney, either which way this goes, because if he fights Javier Fortuna December 26th, he's going to be the mandatory for Devin Haney's WBC title, either which way it goes. And for the people that state that Devin Haney already had plans to fight November 7th and never had plans to fight Gary Russell because he already had a plan in place and a date set to fight Yuriorkis Gamboa November 7th, well, guess what? Gary Russell had a date already set as well, December 26th. It's just a later date than Devin Haney's date. That's all it is. Because Devin Haney had the date before these negotiations and before all of this back and forth and all of this started to take place. Devin Haney had the date set for November 7th. Gary Russell had a date set for December 26th. So if you're going to say Devin Haney had a plan in place already before the Gary Russell, so that's the reason why he wasn't pushing for the Gary Russell fight, then you could say the same thing for Gary Russell, because you could say Gary Russell had a date for December 26th for Javier Fortuna fight as well. So nobody wants to budge, it seems, to disappoint their network, their platform, right? Devin Haney wants to fight Gary Russell November 7th. Gary Russell wants to fight Devin Haney December 26th. Gary Russell stated that he needs 8 weeks to train and be properly prepared for a Devin Haney fight. They both gym rats. They both in the gym. Gary Russell said that he's not training for a fight, but he's in the gym. He's a gym rat. He's always in shape. He don't have to get ready because he stays ready, right? With that said, according to Bill Haney, they were willing to budge off the November 7th date to get a Gary Russell fight if he agreed to fight December 26th on the date he already had set as well. So they both had a date set, November 7th and December 26th. They both had dates set before negotiating with one another. So you can't say that Devin Haney had a plan in place, so he was capping and not trying to make the fight because he already had a plan to fight Yuriorkis Gamboa November 7th. That's not true, because he also put his bid in to face Javier Fortuna once Jorge Linares was unable to continue with their fight date. He said that he campaigned for himself to face Javier Fortuna in that position. Javier Fortuna team turned him down. So it wasn't that Yuriorkis Gamboa was the A plan. No, Yuriorkis Gamboa was the backup plan. He was plan C. They want the best fight available. When Gary Russell presented himself to be available, they tried to push forward with this fight. As you can see in the term sheet, Matchroom Dazn was on board. Like I said, Gary Russell is in a perfect position. He could get his December 26th date. He could have his 8-week training camp, and he's still going to be the mandatory for Devin Haney's WBC title. Devin Haney is in a lose-lose situation because if he don't push forward in enough time, then he loses his November 7th date, and Gary Russell could turn around and say, I'm deciding not to take the fight. Then he's scrambling to find another date. He's the champion. So he has to defend his belt against the mandatory challenger, whether that be Gary Russell or Javier Fortuna. So Bill Russell puts out the term sheet, and you could clearly see that Dazn and Matchroom were in the term sheet. So you can make what you want of it. But that's all I got for y'all. Drop a comment in the comment section. Let me know what y'all think. Y'all already know what it is. It's your boy Blue, Blue Blood Sports TV. Hey, like, comment, and subscribe. You haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, hit the bell icon to get all the new notifications. Follow me on Instagram at Blue Blood Sports TV, all one word. Y'all already know what it is. Shout out to the entire LDBC. Shout out to New Media. Shout out to Black Media Raw. Make sure you like and share these videos. That's all I got for y'all. Peace.